Has also been before Parliament now, assuring government will find the money to get the NIA to print more.
This is Top Story with Evans
Mensah finally appeared before the House with a spirited defense of a controversial law that will make the Ghana card the sole identity document when she attempted to defend the decision to.
So I've taken note of all of you. Honorable Dominic. Mr. Speaker, I am protesting. You cannot invite somebody to your house. You can invite somebody to your house and it's not a person. Honorable Murtala Mohammed, it has long been ruled in this house. Murtala Mohammed, I call on you to withdraw the shame.
It is not a house of shouting. And we are all here, and that is why I want the speakers that. So if I'm with, so I want your, because you are the speaker and you are directing me to do so. But you all know that any statement that is made not on the mic. So Mr. Speaker, I am withdrawing that statement, even though.
Well, on her part, Madam Mensah was clear the new CI will those who are already on the existing voter register.
Source of identification for those who wish to register as well processes also evolved to meet the exigencies that is fraught with challenges. So when we have a credible system in the form of identification, the continuous registration process, on the contrary, will be inclusive, have been excluded in a limited registration exercise, will be continuous, like its name states. A size is not periodic or a limited one that could activity. As such, a person who does not have the Ghana card today can out and register.
And that's Madam that government will release all the funds that the NIA currently needs to print the suppliers. Also, the NIA were themselves before Parliament today, and they've also been where the majority chief whip Mr. Nodompre is the second one by Professor Ken Atefa of the NIA and the Finance Minister. The MPs and
again, what is the problem with the guarantor system? And how
your time is up. Your time is up.
Your time
NIA boss
can tell us the
honorable member, your time is up. Now, I'll allow with the EC.
Very much. I think Honorable Ablakwa raised it that, that was 8 months ago. And in his view, if registration, because of the challenges that the NIA is facing, and a system where it was a limited registration exercise. Let's say that in July of 2022, we decide if persons didn't have the register, they would not be able to. If they didn't have, we initiated the process as far back as July. People would. So what we are saying is that had we to disenfranchising citizens, the offices to register. So before to have people registered, but there is no rush because it is. Anyway, I think Honorable Ghana card to prove their citizenship. 1.4 million people, voted in the 2020 election, and so why is the EC or come through the guarantor system or the passport as illegitimate? We recognize that at the time of the registration, we had, in addition to the Ghana card, they were not. I think we should understand. So therefore, the law provided, because the law, I think we should understand, allows you to use the Ghana card ability. You have that law card. Those who came in using the passports or the guarantor system, this law, under this law, through the guarantor system or the passport. So here, past you could, and therefore you cannot be classified as being. You also have, you have 3 million persons who. Because he has on his sheet, the 2 people were successfully challenged during the registration plus who were challenged, and these 32 were successfully challenged the registration and during the district registration. Apart from that, we also have an additional 7,000 persons who were challenged for identification purposes. The difference between the NIA guarantor system and the Electoral Commission's guarantor system was, and they swear. Hello. They swear an oath.
On our questions, she is answering the questions. You move on. Let's listen to her answers first.
Yeah. I think that the NIA don't. Secondly, I think that those who serve as guarantors have their details attached to a person's application, and we don't. And then thirdly, there's evidence that there's no sharing of data between the NIA and, automatic share and forward it to the NIA for verification. But we do not have an automatic that to the NIA for them to verify. That facility exists, but we don't have an automatic data sharing facility. I think there was a question on the registration, says that they're appropriate. As such, this once again, should the commission for that? I know the argument has been made that some of the district offices may be far, but any other place that the commission considers appropriate, and therefore center limited to only the district offices. The commission will take steps to designate. Made it clear in our statement that the EC will not be compiling a new voters register for persons who previously did not participate in the voters register. And so we are not going to be compiling or persons who had not previously registered to come on board the register should they deem.
National Identification Authority. Olga's question will be answered by the National Identification Authority.
A question
yes
about Regulation 9. Mr. Speaker, I have read thoroughly that the current CI, that is CI 91, does not of the old CI and Regulation 9 of the new CI coincide in. Okay, the substantive content of Regulation 9 in the proposed CI should be different from important, Mr. Speaker. Very, very important. No, it's okay.
Yes.
Honorable Aine, that lies before us, is that we are seeking to mainstream. If you look at this CI, it is to seek to mainstream, make it just from the previous CI with the Ghana card, or to come through the guarantor system. But in this CI, the difference is that you have through with only the Ghana card. But the significant difference is that this CI seeks to
I will address the
question or comment by Honorable Doctor. Conclusion that 3.7 million Ghanaians would not be able to lead anyone to that conclusion if I could be aided, but certainly not get raised.
And we'll take it to Parliament pretty shortly, but stay with us. We're going to be with you. We're still waiting for the Speaker now, after the debate and the questions and answers are done, to give a direction as to how Parliament will proceed on this very important.
Joe, Wunty, Enterprise Insurance would deal with
Buy or renew your existing motor insurance policy and win instant rewards such as high pressure car washer, vacuum cleaner, and an auto tie inflator agent, or visit any Enterprise Insurance branch and get your reward now. You can also call us on your advantage.
Make you give me correct shock absorber. Or make a do video concept, then take the Gaussian P for the if it be you where you get Vodafone 1 Ghana promo them out 20 minutes talk time to call out, make we enjoy. You can fit subscribe as many times as you want. Yes. Vibe early morning 5 a.m. sharp.
Vodafone, further together.
It's time to feed your baby.
Yes. I want to thank you for your advice to go for the COVID-19 vaccination during my 19 and also carried my pregnancy to full term without any complications. Now I have a bouncy baby.
I'm unborn baby.
You are right, Auntie Ness.
There are people going around spreading rumors.
The COVID-19 vaccine went for my second dose while pregnant, yet I carried it full term and just delivered.
Vaccine protected you and your baby from severe COVID-19 illness and hospitalization and can protect precious baby.
My beloved baby.
The Ministry of Health and Ghana Health Service with support from USAID and partners.
Of a controversial law that will make the Ghana card the sole
No sanctions as Tema Oil Refinery takes delivery of 600,000 barrels of Russian crude procured.
In with the international community in not doing business with Russia. Our security
declare the Russian cargo illegal. Also tonight, Labour Party's Peter Obi causes major upset. Parties including Obi's Labour Party, PDP and ADC have passed a vote.
No confidence of the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, to believe
Professor Mahmoud's resignation as unfounded.
You want to stay with us here on Newsnight? We'll take Yemen where that heated debate is still underway. We give you some context with Kweku Asante, our parliamentary correspondent. Kweku, so this debate is still happening.
Are not so satisfied with some of the answers that are being provided by first the NIA and also the Electoral Commission in the substance of his questions and was answering questions that he had not asked. He had also said the same for explaining why their system is credible enough for the EC to rely on to register voters.
Given the resources, we will be able to print those cards. I received notification that the 20 million that was outstanding has, and I have received notification from Carbon that payment also has been paving way for the conversation that will result in the release of cards for us to print. The 541 will not be eligible to vote. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to Mr. Speaker, the provides as follows. A national identity card may be used to facilitate the process of an application for personal information. So it is a process. The card may be required to pass off the register of an individual. Second, the provision, the police, for example, may ask the person information from NIA. And I can assure the Honourable Member of Parliament that the Ghana Police information, when they do, they may take up and say to NIA, this is the person's personal use of the card as provided for under Section 29.7 of LI 2111. What it provides for the following transactions where identification is required. The emphasis there is transaction, where your identification is required to be proven. Then the Ghana card, that is the provision of, and Mr. Speaker, there are two separate and distinct things for requesting for information stored in a person for information using the Ghana card. But when it comes to understanding of the distinction between the two provisions,
I've never had the opportunity. You already spoken.
Mr. Speaker, there was also a question about the difference between NIA's guarantee. Ours is a more rigorous system. It requires that the person making the oath, the person, Chief Justice of the Republic, trained, that every person vouching does so before a commissioner for yourself. The consequences are clear. Finally, because of that card of the person vouching is tied to the person for whom is vouching that someone is a Ghanaian when the person is not. In the EC system, specified set of persons. In the NIA system, it is one through the governing board of NIA. And again, those two persons qualified. So that is why the chairman of the EC said the NIA system is more robust about for the identities of other persons. NIA can print the cards within 11 days if given the funds. I think there were some questions to the finance. He's not answered your question. Because from the slides, we only have Okujeta Blakwa is right. Just a second. Yeah. And I can give it to you, sir. As at the 19th of February 2020.
We'll need your ruling so that it will be made available to us. It's germane.
No, I'm not taking any questions again.
Let's resolve this, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Damsemapo, you are signaling time, isn't it?
It's very important.
You are signaling me.
Yes, so you can rule that has been requested. That will be made available to members. We want your rulers copies. So.
This is very important. Mr. Chairman, I just question E of LI 211.
Honorable Damsemapo, I've not given you the opportunity.
Mr. Question is this: that if you interpret the law by those people, a mandatory use of the card that you have not issued to them to use the card, as you have interpreted in the law. So the law says issue.
Let the copies be made available today.
Mr. Chairman, the deputy leader now. I think that is impracticable. Of the House apply even in plenary. And the rules provide question shall not be asked, the answer to which is readily available. I don't know, apply yourself to the rules and you appreciate what you are doing. Members need it. If members need it and the instruction, the directive is really superfluous. It's superfluous because you are required to assess. Your phone is limited. Your phone is limited. Your phone is limited. You requested.
Thank you.
Finance Minister. So you give him the. Example, take your seat, please. Honourable members, we are now giving the opportunity. Oh, Honourable Dara.
Thank you very much. Transferred to Bank IMS. Transfer the 80 million Ghana cedi. So, Mr. Speaker, we do take elections very seriously, and as I mentioned in the last, had a successful. I will continue to do same, and let me assure this House that all
honourable members, honourable member for North Town, there's no federal leadership. Mr. Speaker.
Okay, where the leadership has the
Mr. Speaker, the understanding is that we will have the first 5 waiting for their turn to ask their questions. Another set of 5. Before.
Very well. Then I don't have to have the majority. I don't have the minority.
Mr. Speaker, we've given you 13 days.
Honourable members, will you listen to me? Honourable members, will you listen to me forward? I don't want any. So, Honourable Erikopoku, you can begin.
Mr. Speaker, the constitutional instrument is very clear. It states right to vote and is entitled to be registered as a voter this evening. It is clear that if the constitutional instrument is not all Ghanaians have the Ghana card, and that is the reason why you have brought the finance and law on assurance that the right thing will be done in future. Why is it that we cannot wait? Then my second question has to do with the guarantor system, a robust one. Why can't the Electoral Commission, for those who do not have the Ghana card, to also have their names on the electoral roll offices? Mr. Chairman, that is a right. Voting is a person is in the village far away from our office. Who bears the call to the desert office? You cannot register and participate in the voting. Is that what you're telling us? Are you monetizing the registration process?
Emmanuel Boa.
Take the NIA deadlines, where we were talking about the reliance by the Minister of Communication. You can get it at a later date. But that is exactly the sitting here today has told her that they still have challenges. The Minister of Finance is here. And that's a fact. That's a fact. So get the NIA to complete the process before we deal with it. What prevents this? He says that the NIA system is more robust. When we were talking about an effective, what prevents the EC from adopting that system?
And that's it. And speak to parliamentary correspondent, just looking ahead, so we can move some form of a decision, a vote on the CI. What exactly should we look forward to?
So, out of any committee, it will be debated, it will be voted upon, and then the House will take a decision. But that decision is not a decision. Parliament cannot dictate for it in such manner. But we know that the Speaker on the floor of the House, and the Speaker has said it time and again, that he wants to be satisfied because the EC is not subject to any direction in the performance of its committee of the whole report. Will come back to the floor of the House, a debate will ensue, and a vote will be taken. We do not know 15 days. And Evans, the second point is that Parliament is expected to rise for Easter break on the 2. They would have to wait until Parliament resumes in April after the Easter break, and at time for registration to happen before the district level election scheduled for the last quarter of this year.
On the Joy News channel is also live on our social media page. A few more majority members who also want to still follow that live debate on the floor on the Joy News channel.
Don't forget, the Finance Minister has also asked ability of international sanctions docked at the Tema Harbour. Well, Joy News is now learning that the crude oil was declared. They will not allow the vessel to dock in Ghana in sea. Dr. Mustafa Hamid answering a question posed by a Bloomberg reporter when the vessel was first spotted heading for Ghana.
We've actually observed from it to arrive at Tema on Friday. We just wanted to check.
In terms of Russian crude, let it be stated emphatically that Russia. So it cannot be the case that the NPA has sanctioned in unit, which is under the Economic Regulation and Planning Directorate, which authorizes for any Russian cargo to berth on our shore. That has to be explicit. Cargo as smuggled product. Our security people, Marine Police, Navy are on alert to intercept.
Intercepted, had actually now docked and has discharged the 600,000 that we do not do business with Russia, and that they have a unit there that gives permission for all vessels now dock and then discharge. Lots of questions.
Well, Maxwell Agbagba joins us in studio.
So, Bloomberg, the tanker Theseus arrived in Ghana's territorial waters on Friday. Data compiled by Bloomberg. Its cargo was due to be pumped into storage tanks in Tema, not began. The crude, we are told, will begin to respond to requests for comment. And Bloomberg says when the tanker was not happened, the MPA didn't respond to multiple requests for comment after its reached this October 2018.
Okay, so Bloomberg has also been explaining why Russia Oil will want its crude here in Ghana. What exactly did it?
Post punishing sanctions on the country's energy industry. Almost all European Union companies that buy such exports above a capped price. It goes big discounts on the nation's crude, according to the International Energy Agency. We are told that they divorced all seaborne imports from the country in December. The bloc's measure made more crude exports towards China and then India, upending global oil flows and then the maritime industry. Now, nation's pool of buyers dramatically.
Okay, thank you very much, Maxwell. And Evans, you've been leading the Energy and Oil and Gas Desk, digging further into this. What more has
been saying internationally? Russian oil, if you can procure, well, you get it cheaper because to sources in the industry. That is a privately owned 14. Very well established, that procured. This is one consignment that they had procured. The only reason why this is this is a significant amount of crude, 600,000 barrels. To put that in context, Ghana currently is more than 4 times what his name, because we tried to reach out to them and we haven't succeeded. And if you check, seem to have Eastern European name. Tor received a notice. There was a notice. As we speak, it's docked and has discharged. That was circulated, alerting the staff that the cargo was coming for the top tanks there. In cubic meters of line content of water and mixture of crude oil into G5. G51 is one of the tanks. Divided it into bits into another tank. The tank 70 and QC has gone on board for sampling. So which means that they possibly had an officer in vessel actually docked, and again it raises questions about the MPA's own assertions that do but I find that the last note there in this internal information early. That's why we came up at that meeting, and the information came to them at possibly the last minute. And so tanks, what we understand is this private refinery, another thing that of course the authorities, the MP in particular, will have a lot of questions, the energy ministry, because of the sanctions.
I'm sure you've been finding out how able to find.
I mean, that's another question that a lot of people I've been speaking to raise as well. I mean, that known about this, and if the sound replay there of Mustafa Hamid himself was very clear that they have entity like MPA taxed with that responsibility should have that information, and the questions are confesses, and it's very clear that Ghana, we do not do business with Russia and seize it, impound and possibly prosecute. But if it is coming in and we know,
well, that's the bigger concern because of the ban on Russian oil. So what definitely on this? But my colleague,
in fact, on that question, we've been digging into that also, because that's a key question here, and UN and elsewhere when it comes to African countries specifically buying or
issued a strong warning to African countries to stay away from importing oil from Russia. She said, according to her, trade in U.S. sanctioned commodities such as oil from Russia, and I quote, "we cons of having actions taken against them."
Okay, and so and to put it in context, just last week Ghana again voted against particular matter that Ghana is completely against Russia.
Very much so.
In this since the war started. So that tells you a lot. Contributors, Senior Hosi joins us on the line. Mr. Hosi, thanks for your time here.
We do business directly and indirectly with Russia. I think that buying crude from Russia from starters is not illegal. Things are not to say that you can't buy from Russia. It is for the EU record that should be about $60 price cap. That creates an opportunity, and who is buying? The refinery in question will require about 4 months on that particular activity. Are we going to be looking at cases where this is flipped for sure you avoid? Before there's a geopolitical situation, debt forgiveness, you need to be very sensitive about how much or crude because cutting your nose to spite your face. And these are decisions that policy decisions. Unfortunately, what we have seen in time past is that they're doing something and they may be at variance.
And because you're an industry person, you know what you're talking about. So when you hear the chief executive of MPA
I heard my brother Hamid say was that smuggled is the word I heard.
And he says at the beginning, we don't do business. So if that's the case, we won't allow it to dock. But then he goes ahead to, and that is important. In fact, that's the starting point of this story. That's why this story becomes important.
Okay, so a few things. Well, I got to study. I may be sharing a perspective. One, smuggled is currently with Russia, as in government-to-government basis. But market-to-market basis, there is business. That does not necessarily mean that cargo is coming from Russia. For the large cargoes are cargoes, but that's not necessarily Hamid's job. Once they can validate that something is illegitimate, he's going to have to take ASCO.
Yeah, that point is very, very interesting indeed. And I've without some doubt, this says the chief executive again making that point to the Bloomberg question.
At Tema on Friday, we just wanted to check if you can confirm that that's the case, and if that crude is for the Tema refinery to
Ghana is in with the international community in not doing business, the docking or berthing of a Russian vessel. It's not possible. And we have a unit which authorizes every vessel that berths on our shores to berth. And we are not, has to be explicit, unequivocal. And so we don't know of any smuggled product. Our security people...
So that's it, just for clarity.
That's fair. One, I am not aware of any industry directive that nobody, industry directive needs to be shared with industry. Now, the people who have imported this particular product are authorized to import the product. It has to communicate that.
Yeah.
It hasn't. So nothing illegal for starters.
That happened. Senor, thank you very much. You've been following this very closely. Give me your quick thoughts.
Thanks for having me. The indications we have made. Yes, of course, there is a vessel from Russia, and it's in Ghana carrying. It is designated for Platon oil. I can put it on authority. This cargo is still at anchorage, and I repeat, it's still at anchor the conventional buoy mooring system, the single point mooring system, and the empty capsules. That is what I can say as one tanks. And so Platon decided to choose Tor as a storage facility. But on the side of Tor is yet to receive clearance from the National Petroleum Authority to receive.
Great. Thank you very much for that insight. And this is a story that we'll keep following how it develops because it's docked on our shores. MF.
And Peter Obi, presidential candidate for the opposition Labour Party, has won the capital Abuja. Rival Bola Tinubu of the ruling APC. So the PDP's Atiku Abubakar also took 74,000, with the PDP's Democratic Party and ADC called for a fresh election, alleging irregularities. Well, they
are far from being fair or transparent. There's ongoing extensive cancellation of the ruling APC. The total number of cancellations to date nationwide has in any People's Democratic Party, Labour Party, ADC demand that this sham of an election in accordance with the laid down INEC procedure.
Well, they have described the calls for Professor Mahmoud's resignation as unfounded, but we can also hear from the vice presidential candidate the results.
Definitions. The executive must be truly elected. You do have a constitutional problem. It's going to be built on outright presented by my brother Governor Okowa has been drawn to this. What INEC has accelerated to promote illegality and thereafter
outside the national coalition.
So go to court from INEC.
Yes.
We had that in 20.
See how this pans out. But Kofi has been monitoring events in terms of real times, results. We have 24 out of 36 states but
decreasing in the percentage. So currently he's leading but with 38.96%. Then we have Rabiu, who is actually having 7.3%, and Peter Obi, third.
Atiku Abubakar is also winning there.
So 9 states out of the 24 right now.
Interesting. And Bayelsa State's also going for Atiku and Rabiu states. And they've taken a 2-hour break and they'll be back at 9 p.m. Then we'll get more. You've been interacting with Chukwuemeka Eze of Olusegun Obasanjo, the former president. Also, we heard him truncate the 2023 general elections with his inciting, self-serving and provocative statement. That's the Nigerian elections on myjoyonline.com. That's how we wrap up tonight's edition of Newsnight. The Geek Squad.
And social media.
Well, that's where you